Years ago, we had a class assignment in elementary school to teach us responsibility and care. This class experiment ended with terrible consequences. Our teacher, Mr. Bramlish, explained, "You were each given a bag of sugar. This bag of sugar represents your baby. You will care for this baby all week. If anything bad happens to your baby, you fail. Care for this bag of sugar as if it were real." He then went around the room and asked each of us what our baby's name was. The first kid was Davy, and he quickly said, "Sugar, Daddy." The whole class laughed. Sugar Daddy was Davy's father's clown name. His father was a part-time gig clown. He had acted at everyone's birthday party. Sugar Daddy disappeared several years prior after some kid had accidentally died during a party performance. Some said Sugar Daddy had worked some hex on the kid, and it was rumored that he was some sort of dark master of witchcraft. Anyway, at the end of the week, only a few babies were still alive. Mine looked like it was in intensive care, having been run over by a truck. Davy's baby, however, looked spotless, and Bramlish gave him the highest mark. At the end of the lesson, he asked for the remaining bags of sugar back, and Davy asked if he could keep Sugar Daddy. Mr. B said sure, knowing that Sugar Daddy was his father's clown name, and that Davy was probably missing his father. Davy became inseparable from his bag of sugar, Sugar Daddy. They sat side by side in class, and after class, Davy and Sugar Daddy rode their bicycle home. I saw Davy on the slide at the park conversing with Sugar Daddy. I went over and asked what the heck they were talking about, and Davy said, "Sugar Daddy wants to know about all the kids in our class, so I'm telling him." One afternoon, a group of boys were asked to help set up the stage for a performance. Davy was one of the boys, but he was holding Sugar Daddy, so his hands weren't free. The drama teacher told Davy to put Sugar Daddy in the teacher's lounge. She said, "It's time for you to put that silly thing down." Davy was so angry he cried in front of everyone. The teacher said, "He'll be safe in the lounge, I promise." Well, that turned out to be a lie. After setup, Davy returned to the teacher's lounge to collect Sugar Daddy. There was hardly a teaspoon left next to an empty pot of coffee. At the tables were 5 teachers, violently ill. Davy's bag of sugar was found to be contaminated with poison. Of course, Davy denied any knowledge of it. The curious fact was that it was the same poison found in the child at the party his father had entertained. Do clowns scare you? I'm petrified. Maybe there is a good reason, like it is for me. This happened when I was very young. My dad took my brother Ed and me to the Ringling Brothers Circus. The circus was set up in the big round exposition building at the county fairgrounds. About midway through, my brother complained that he was hungry and wanted a hot dog. Dad reluctantly took us outside to where the food vendors were. I was happy for this because I didn't like the clowns. The lines were long for the food trucks, and I was really tired and didn't want to stand in a long line, so Dad said, "You boys stay together at the picnic table and I'll go get the food." After another 5 minutes, Ed said, "I'm going to the toilet. You stay here." He bounded off and left me sitting alone on the picnic bench, and I began to cry. At this point, a clown came over and said, "Hey kid, you okay? Where's your parents?" I looked at him, frightened by the clown. He gave a big smile and sat next to me saying, "You scared of clowns?" I used to be terrified of clowns as a kid, but then my dad took me to the tent where all the clowns dressed and put makeup on, and I saw that they were just people dressed up. I stopped crying and looked at him sitting next to me and said, "Really?" "Yes, really," he said. "They are just people." I looked at him and said, "Just people," parroting his words. The clown blew up a red balloon and gave it to me. "Hey, what about I take you to see where the clowns put on their costumes? They'll show you magic tricks and let you pet their monkey. I have my dressing room there." "Well, my dad went to get hot dogs and he will be looking for me when he gets back." The clown stood and squeaked his nose and said, "I'll take you and you'll be back before he arrives with the hot dogs." And before I could object, he took me by my hand and led me toward the backstage of the circus out of sight from the public areas. He led me into a darkened storage room saying, "Do you know my name? I'm Mr. Tickles the Clown. Do you know why they call me Mr. Tickles?" He reached down and started to tickle me all over. It was in the nick of time that my brother led my father into the storage room. He had returned from the toilet and saw the clown leading me into the room and screamed for Dad, who dropped everything and came running to my rescue. There was a brief battle as Dad pummeled the clown before the clown ran out a back door. I was safe, but that chilling nightmare is still with me. This is not a joke. If you are hiking in the woods and hear carnival music, run. I'm from Spartanburg, a small town in South Carolina. My house is close to Croft State Park. It's a great place to go hiking, especially in the fall. I often went running cross-country there to build my endurance for the track team. However, this one time, my last time, was a chilling nightmare. It was in the fall of 2016, and there had been episodes of scary clowns all over the U.S. attacking kids in the woods, playgrounds, and places like that. It was all over the news. Here in Spartanburg, we were having the same problem with a crazy kind of trespass where people dressed up as clowns, held parties in cornfields, and illegally danced around bonfires in the woods. There were rumors that some of these clowns had tried to lure unsuspecting kids into the woods with carnival music. For what purpose was only speculation of terrible consequences for the children. My neighbor said she saw a man in a clown costume at her bedroom window one night. She called the police on this peeping Tom, and they said she was the 5th person to report such an intrusion in a week. Nothing had yet been reported of missing children or actual damage or anything. Still, the police issued a community warning to be vigilant to clown activity. Teach your children not to accept candy from anyone, not even a smiling clown. Well, I wasn't particularly worried. I went on with my regular school track and field activities after school and ran cross-country through the park. One late afternoon, I was running on the homeward stretch on the last mile in the park. I heard the sound of a calliope. I thought that very strange and deviated off the path towards the music. Big mistake. It was coming from one of those picnic shelters hidden by trees. But I was curious as the music pulled me in. I peeked into the shelter and was instantly grabbed by 2 clowns. A third was holding a boombox that was loudly playing the carnival music. They threw me down and were dancing in frenetic motions, kicking me over and over again. I could not get to my feet. At every attempt, one of them kicked me down again. They were laughing in the ugliest manner. Meat for the tiger. I finally could grab one of the clown's legs and twist it, knocking him to the ground, and body slam the second clown into the third, with both of them tripping over the first fallen clown. I stepped on the torso of one of the clowns as I flew for the exit and into the woods, running into the now darkness of an October evening. I made a report, but it went down as just another clown sighting. If you hear the carnival music, run is all I can say.
Subscribe.